JB here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. May 6th, 2025, 3:12 a.m. 3:12 p.m. on this fine Tuesday afternoon. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P SPY is right at 560 here, 560.35 up, down about 0.5%. Another choppy kind of premium killing day so far. Markets tested lows in the morning, bounced around as POTUS and Carney were talking at the White House, found a bid. He announced that there's going to be some big news, the biggest news in years. We're going to announce it either today, tomorrow, or before Monday. So that was some of the market move around the noon hour. You saw a spike all the way up to 563, then down to 560 again, and we bounced. So just another one of these days. It's like the longer this plays out with just the headlines that I think are it's kind of wearing thin, right? The hey, we have deals, we're working on deals. I mean, there was the chart, biggest news ever. I forget the chart, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I have to post where someone showed how long it took for deals to get worked on, deals to get agreed upon, and then deals to go into actually be executed, right? To be finalized, right? To hey, this is when it starts, and it doesn't take days or weeks or months, it takes many months, right? So, uh, but that I guess you see it on the other side too, with the tariffs, right? The longer this goes, right now maybe the impacts aren't as large, but the longer it goes, just I mean, I can repeat this on and on and on. So you hope there's some deals announced or one or two major deals this week at some point, or at least some concrete, hey, this is what's going on, and or a pause with China. Otherwise, yeah, this choppiness where you're like, okay, maybe the market's going to pull, maybe we're gonna break the 50 down the S&P again, and one a day it's going to happen, right? And then it's just going to continue. So for now, VIX only up 3% today, despite the chop. Yields are actually lower. The U.S. dollar is weaker, but considering the whole Taiwan situation, I guess that's not too bad. And then we're into Fed Day tomorrow. So, I mean, if you wanted scenarios going into Fed Day, you wouldn't want to see like a 12-day historic rally into the Fed Day tomorrow, right? Because, well, I mean, it'd be nice, but it would be hard to kind of paint a picture of how the market could really rally higher pending a rate cut, right? And even that might spook folks because you don't want to see. It's almost like you don't want to see Fed Chair Powell become overly dovish tomorrow because you're like, oh, he's not independent now, So we'll have to see how this all plays out tomorrow. But I remain cautiously optimistic. Some churn here today, maybe some more chop tomorrow into the 2 o'clock hour, and then just hopefully we hold the 50-day on the SPY. After the close day, we have AMD, you have Arista Networks, you have Rivian, you have Supermicro. Supermicro already pre-released, so I don't know how much surprise element is there. Yeah, so still plenty of earnings. So that's kind of what I'm watching. 570 on the SPY, the 200-day moving average. Maybe that comes into play if the Fed doesn't surprise tomorrow and there's no crazy shenanigans. That would be the ideal setup here. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. And then you take a look at stocks trading over their 200-day moving average on the SPY or the S&P. Still kind of not too much change between today, yesterday, and Friday. So that bodes well. And then yeah, the VIX. You wouldn't even think that we had a red day. I mean, some of it's because it's on the backdrop of all these other large swings on the VIX, but all things considered, not too bad. All right, so now individual names. Oh, so the POTUS announced the tariffs coming on the pharma, right? So that was last week or the week before, but it was coming in 2 weeks. So you saw some kind of volatility a little bit in the bio names, but then it kind of shook it off. And then this morning announced orders for the FDA to kind of like accelerate production facilities and remove uh, the overhang to get facilities built, right? I mean, the turn time on some of these buildings in general, right, take forever. But more specifically to pharma, because a lot of the drugs and stuff and components of the drugs that are even manufactured in the U.S. are produced abroad. So that was this morning, and you just see the biotech sector getting smoked today, right? And LLY, which was on fire after earnings, down 6%. IBB is down 5%, giving back a lot of its gains. So I don't know, maybe this buying opportunity in bio, is it just trying to shake out before the news comes out? I don't know. You have to think that if there is tariffs, I don't know how much of the drugs is created. So it's something I have to look at further. But I wouldn't think it this negative, especially. But all right, so that's kind of the overall market. That's kind of things moving today. So then just individual names and Deckers. just it's tough for it to find footing here today amidst the overall market. Hopefully a headline, or even if the market's green tomorrow, maybe it can get back over 120. And then I think once that happens, off to the races. Still have the spec calls. 50-day moving average 117.09. Where's deck trading out right now? 117.15. So hopefully it just closes above that today, and I'll consider that a win, down 1%. And then today I went and got the fiber calls as outlined on the watch list this morning. One of my old favorite names, right? Some of the, I mean, it used to be a 300 and something plus stock back in the COVID days. A lot of it because the at home biz, right? So it's the gig economy. So it's obviously come way off its highs, and it's a name I've traded off and on for the past year or so. Kind of took it off my watch list because some of the moves that it's done to me is kind of like baffling. That the company continues to grow at a high rate. Some of the reason it's sold off over the last year or so is because of the AI, right? You would think a company like Fiverr, who you have people go and order gigs that now AI can do for them, right? But a lot of people don't know that, or a lot of people are not good at doing that. So now some of the pivot, or at least for Fiverr, is you have gigs that are tailored to use AI to help whatever someone might need to get done. So you take a look at Upwork, huge beat and raises yesterday. I have to think, I'm surprised there's not a bigger sympathy move here today. It is up nearly 3%. There is risk, right? So the earnings of tomorrow morning, if there's a miss or concerns, tariff concerns, I don't think that would be the case, but you never know. Obviously, there's some risk there, but I was looking for some decent risk reward strikes, and the 30 calls kind of call my name. So I was hoping when I added strikes to be able to get some out to cover costs on just a continuation move after the open, and then ride the rest into earnings. That hasn't been the case. They're up like 50% earlier, then it dipped. They're up like 30% right now. I'm just going to hold them overnight. I'll put it on the FinTwit before the end of the day. Just I just I'm not there's not 100% conviction that I think it's going to have a beat and raise, but I like the setup here. The 50-day moving is 25.37, so close solidly over that. And then the 200-day is 27.40, got up to 27.52 today. So really like this setup, really love the story. And especially if, after 2 days of red on the market, maybe we get a green session tomorrow, and Fiverr's one of those names I think can perform. So that's that. Other names, Exact Science, not much here to really talk about at 54.71 from Friday. That's kind of a spot to look at. Inside day yesterday. Looks like a possible another inside day today. So, and inside day to the green would be even more of a bullish setup. So once it gets over 54.71, mid 50s by the end of the week, and then have plenty of time for the 60s next week. I keep staring at Philip Morris, and it's tough for me to pull the trigger because it's not the most volatile name, right? And typically I look for names that are going to move up 2, 3, 4% at any given time frame on any given day. And here's Phil Morris, just slow and steady to the upside. And sometimes that works too. It's just what happens when you get slow and steady to the upside and you're in calls and they start to appreciate, and then you get one day of like a downgrade or some kind of catalyst, and it wipes out the gains on a 3% drop. So that's why I'm a little cautious adding calls. I was looking at the 175s to start the week. Those are, I think they were 35 by 40. Those are up near a double. I was looking at the 180s for next week. Those still look somewhat attractive. I'm just being patient here, so don't be surprised if you see me add some of those strikes. And then the other names, Restoration Hardware, down another 1.9% here today, and Wayfair, just rough sessions. Going to need some kind of catalyst, most likely. And then IBB, I mean, just take a look at this candle. I haven't seen this since election day, when concerns around RFK, was it election day or shortly thereafter? You hope. I mean, IBB, it's a biotech, is like one of those sectors you just waiting for. It's been like, feels like a decade waiting for it to really start to break out. Maybe this is it. Maybe there's an announcement with the tariffs or something around the pharma that not as bad as it looks like the market's pricing in, and or positive, a net positive. So that's that. And then VKTX and GPCR. So unfortunately, those names taking it on the chin with the rest of the sector. Still holding the freebie. VKTX is 32s for next week, and the GPCRs, the 25s for May. I mean, the GPCR only have a couple of those left. I was looking to close some of those out at the start of the week, but passed. I'll just continue to hold those. The thing is, right now, I'm just, at some point there possibly might be some M&A. So in lieu of trying to like close them out and then revisiting in a couple of days, I'd worry that I might miss a huge catalyst, right? So I'll continue to hold those. And then GME, just disappointing. Although it's doing its normal, what it seems to be doing over the last week or so, it sells into the afternoon and then it finds a bid and bounces and close almost nearly flat. Today it's down 2%. What's the irony that it traded pretty much all week? It was down points like 7 cents for the entire week, and then we finally get some volatility this week. Hopefully, some news. You got to think that there's going to be an announcement about them acquiring the Bitcoin and maybe how they're going to acquire it. Right? I think it's extremely bullish if they acquire it just with the offering and not use their cash hoard. I think that's about it. I'm trying to think of some of the other names here. VKTX, PM. Oh, hymns, right? So, I was watching hymns after hours or, during the day yesterday. And, I've talked about it off and on. I mean, WW missed the boat and hymns, and not that hymns does exactly what WW does, but they have that component of weight loss, right? So, surprised it didn't do better last week after the news, the partnership with LOY, or was it MVO? And then they had earnings, and earnings were a miss, but then they talked about more partnerships and their guidance looked great. So I was kind of surprised it was lower in the morning, but I didn't have conviction enough to add calls. And even when it started to bounce, it was like 47. I'm looking at the 50 strikes, and I just didn't have conviction. And, it has a 33% short interest. I remember months or even 6 months ago, or even longer than that, there's so many bears on the name. I remember like one weekend someone was posting that they were losing their advertising ability on Facebook, and that was going to be huge drawing them. And then as I look back, I'm like, this is probably like a concerted paid effort by the shorts or whatever it might be to create the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And then you look at the short interest, and then you see why, or at least desperate people, what have you. So maybe this does a squeeze 2.0 because it did it last time. I don't have enough conviction. Tomorrow could be back to 35 or well, not 35, under 45, or it could be 60, right? And I'm just not ready to just risk it on a pure binary with zero conviction, or at least I would have zero conviction. So that's kind of the thought process there. And then Reddit, and I keep looking for Reddit for the post earnings smash up. It's got to happen. It's something it's such a great story. It's one of the best stories out there in regards to where things going. Oh, what did Andrew Freeman from Hedgeye Communication? Oh no, short Reddit. Oh gosh, how funny is that? Folks, this is Hedgeye who shorted Reddit after the IPO, saying it was going like $20. I mean, that did not happen, but here they are again. They did it on Tesla, and then they go and delete all their tweets. All right, folks, that's about it. Let's have a great afternoon. I'll be back. Rock and roll.